The story of Abraham Lincoln, the man who held a nation together. History is often written in ink, but the history of the United States was once written in blood, sacrifice, and unbreakable hope. In the mid-19th century, America was not the confident superpower the world knows today. It was a young nation, fragile and divided, standing on the edge of collapse. Brother fought brother. Neighbor turned against neighbor. The North stood against the South. Ideals of freedom clashed violently with the brutal reality of slavery. The future of democracy itself was at risk. And in the center of this storm, when the nation needed leadership more than ever, stood one unlikely man. Not a king, not a general, not a man born into power, but a tall, awkward, soft-spoken man born in a one-room log cabin. His name was Abraham Lincoln. This is the story of how a poor, self-educated country boy rose from nothing, endured unimaginable hardship, and became the 16th President of the United States. This is the story of how one man's moral courage saved a nation and changed the course of human history forever. A humble beginning. The story of Abraham Lincoln does not begin in a palace or a wealthy estate. It begins in the cold wilderness of Hardin County, Kentucky, on February 12, 1809. Lincoln was born into deep poverty. His family owned almost nothing. Their home was a rough log cabin with a dirt floor. Life was harsh, unforgiving, and filled with constant labor. From a very young age, Abe worked the fields, chopped wood, and helped his family survive. There were no schools nearby, no libraries, no tutors, and tragedy struck early. When Abraham Lincoln was only 9 years old, his mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, died from illness. Her death left a permanent mark on him. He would later say that everything good in him came from her. Losing her so young forced him to grow up fast and carry emotional pain that never left him. But even in hardship, something special was growing inside the boy. A hunger for knowledge. Young Abe was different. While others rested after long days of physical labor, he read. While other children played, he studied. Books became his escape, his teacher, and his guiding light. He would walk miles, sometimes more than 10, just to borrow a single book. He read the Bible, Shakespeare, Aesop's fables, and books on history and law. By the dim, flickering light of the fireplace, he taught himself grammar, logic, and reasoning. He had no formal education, but he had something far more powerful: discipline and determination. Lincoln once said, "I will study and get ready, and perhaps my chance will come." Brick by brick, word by word, he was building himself into a man of wisdom. The honest lawyer. As a young man, Lincoln moved west to Illinois, searching for opportunity. He worked many jobs: store clerk, surveyor, postmaster, but eventually found his calling in law. He studied law on his own and became a lawyer without attending college. But Lincoln was not like other lawyers. He didn't wear fancy suits. He didn't speak in complicated legal language. He didn't try to deceive or manipulate. He believed deeply in honesty. People trusted him. They called him Honest Abe. In court, he spoke plainly and powerfully. His words could make juries laugh one moment and fall silent the next. But beneath his gentle humor was a serious mind and a heavy heart. Because as Lincoln's career grew, so did his concern for his country. A nation divided. America was tearing itself apart. The issue of slavery divided families, communities, and states. The North believed slavery must end. The South believed their economy and way of life depended on it. Lincoln believed slavery was morally wrong. but he also believed deeply in preserving the Union. He warned the nation with words that would echo through history. A house divided against itself cannot stand. He entered politics, running for office again and again. He lost elections. He faced humiliation and failure. Many times it seemed his political career was over before it truly began. But Lincoln never gave up. Failure did not defeat him, it prepared him. An unlikely president. In 1860, against all odds, the tall, self-taught lawyer from Illinois was elected President of the United States. There were no celebrations. His election triggered fear, anger, and rebellion. One by one, Southern states seceded from the Union. The nation plunged into the American Civil War, the bloodiest conflict in U.S. history. Lincoln inherited a broken country and an impossible task. The weight of war. The Civil War was a nightmare. Battles like Antietam and Gettysburg killed thousands in a single day. Letters of death arrived at homes across America. Mothers, fathers, and children mourned endlessly. The pressure on Lincoln was unbearable. He was criticized by his own cabinet, mocked by newspapers, hated by his enemies, protested by citizens. At night, Lincoln walked the halls of the White House alone, unable to sleep. Every casualty weighed on his soul. He carried the pain of the entire nation on his shoulders. Yet, he refused to surrender. A moral turning point. As the war continued, Lincoln's purpose became clearer. This war was no longer about preserving the Union. It was about human freedom. On January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. With a single document, he declared that millions of enslaved people were now and forever free. It did not end slavery overnight, but it changed the meaning of the war. America was now fighting not just for unity, but for justice. Words that shaped democracy. Later that year, on a quiet battlefield in Gettysburg, Lincoln delivered one of the most powerful speeches in human history. It lasted only 2 minutes. He spoke no words of hatred, no call for revenge. Instead, he spoke of sacrifice, equality, and a new birth of freedom. He reminded the world that democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people, must not perish from the earth. Those words still define America today. Victory and tragedy. Slowly, the tide of war turned. In 1865, the Civil War ended. The Union was saved. Slavery was abolished. Abraham Lincoln did the impossible. But fate can be cruel. Just days after victory, while watching a play at Ford's Theater, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. The man who saved the nation became its final casualty of the war. An immortal legacy. Abraham Lincoln died, but his legacy never did. He proved that greatness is not defined by where you begin, but by what you stand for. He taught the world that freedom is worth fighting for, that unity is strength, that leadership requires sacrifice. Today, he sits in stone in Washington, D.C., watching over the nation he saved. A man's honest voice, guided by courage and compassion, can change the course of human history.